Dream Team, it's your boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with how Larry Bird humiliated entire teams. Ice cold, must watch. Y'all know we got to, but before we do, y'all know I need y'all to hit that subscribe button, ring notification bell, give the video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. I got social media, Patreon, all the time. You can subscribe to any of it, put all the links in the description. All you gotta do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me, human. I talk back. If you guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. Well, we got Larry Legend.
Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to my show. I'm Sean David. Let's talk some old school Larry Bird. Now we all know that Larry Bird is probably considered the best trash talker in NBA history, and especially when it comes to Larry Bird and individuals, we probably know basically all the stories. But in this episode, I want to focus more on stories where Larry Bird is trash talking and embarrassing entire teams. But before we get to that point, I want to give a quick shout out to my Patreons. Thanks a lot, you guys, for supporting the show. It's really appreciated. And I would say enough said, let's get right into today's episode.
I'll never forget, everything just started went in slow motion.
Who would win a three-point shooting contest, Larry Bird or Reggie Miller?
I would win hands down.
I still love when he says to Xavier McDaniel, X, I'm going to get the ball right here, and I'm going to take a jumper right in the face. I'm going to make it. And then he gets the ball, takes the shot right in front of Xavier McDaniel, and makes the shot.
Who was the best player you played against?
The best guy I played against might have been Larry Bird.
Now, the first story that I want to talk about involves Larry Bird and coaching legend Frank Layton. If you don't know Frank, he's a coaching legend for the Utah Jazz and is widely considered to be one of the funniest guys who ever coached in the NBA. The story right here goes a little something like this. Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics were facing Frank Layton and his team, the Utah Jazz. Larry Bird had a hot night as usual, and again he got a little bit bored, as he did pretty often when he felt that nobody was trying to stop him. So Bird kept shooting and every ball was going in. So he runs by the bench of the Utah Jazz and goes, "That's the heat check, folks." Then he talks to Utah's coach Frank Layton and says to him, "Hey Frank, haven't you got anyone on the bench who can guard me? Because nobody out here can." So Frank looks down the bench and goes, "No." Typical Frank Layton, typical Larry Bird. The next story.
My guy, that's sad, bro. My guy looked out the bench. Nah, can't none of them guard you, Larry. Hey, we ain't got nobody on the team that can guard you, Larry. So I guess you just gonna have to keep going off because we got our best defenders on you and you're cooking them.
No. Typical Frank Layton, typical Larry Bird. The next story that I want to talk about goes back to the year 1987, so when Washington was still the Washington Bullets. The court and kicked the ball to Bird. After a few seconds, when Bird realized what happened, he told some of the Washington Bullets players, "I can do it again, so don't worry." End of quote. Now let's have a look at the full sequence.
All right, Haynes is going to put the ball into play. And where do we go?
He said, "I can do it again, so don't worry."
If we talk about the greatest rivalries of all time, we have to talk about Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And this story actually goes back to the time when Magic and Bird became friends. Magic Johnson was injured in one game between the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers, but that still didn't stop Larry Bird from going over to him and have a quick word. "I've got a pulled hamstring, so I'm not going to play today," Magic said. Bird, on the other hand, looked over and said, "Man, I'm so sorry that you're not playing, but I'll tell you what, since you're here anyway, I will put on a show for you, so just sit back and relax." Magic didn't find that too funny and said, "Get out of my face." He even warned his teammates that Larry was about to drop buckets, but it didn't help. After every made bucket, Bird looked over to Magic and the Lakers bench.
Can do it. The Lakers can do it right here. They're being run back on because their shots are being missed long.
And what LA tries to do with the weak side forward right now, the man away from the ball, that would be Kevin McHale, who's just come in the game.
The next story that I want to feature is actually one of the more lesser-known stories. But again, it involves Larry Bird and the Phoenix Suns back in the 1980s.
I remember in particular one where I had to make a pass in from Phoenix, and the Suns crowd was going wild.
Max looking, loops it to Bird, a runner. It's gone!
That is literally insane, bro. Like, my guy just be casually hitting runners from the three-point line. Like, just one-legged runners from the three. Like, this man, Larry, was crazy.
Max looking, loops it to Bird, a runner.
That's crazy.
It's gone! Good! Bird hits and the Celtics win it!
As soon as Larry let it go, he virtually turns to the bench and he's looking over like, you should have had more than one guy on me. You could have heard a mouse pee on cotton in that building. It got that quiet all of a sudden.
A mouse pee on cotton. I've never
heard a mouse pee on cotton in that building. It got that quiet all of a sudden.
Finally, we get to one of my favorite stories that involve Larry Bird. It is the Atlanta Hawks and Larry Bird, and I think all of you guys know that story, but we have to put that right in perspective.
But when you played against somebody, do you remember? Well, you had the Bird night.
I had the Bird night. That was a tough night, man. The biggest argument that night is, well, you only scored 6 on me.
But nobody was guarding Bird, were they?
Well, we were trying.
You were trying to.
When a guy is literally coming up the court, calling his shots, and Bird talked a lot of trash.
And that's in New Orleans.
That's in New Orleans. In that game, we're on the free throw line. And he literally says, left side across the three, and you're listening to him. That's a tough feeling.
Bird on the drive, the runner is good again. You're seeing a great performance as you'll ever see to this Hawk team. Here's Bird flashing underneath, a good pass by McCann. Bird, 14 seconds, he got fouled. He hit the shot. They're not going to count it. And Bird.
The Hawks players just becoming fans of Larry Bird during the game. Just in awe how a man can do this.
Fouled. He hit the shot. They're not going to count it. And Bird falls into Joe O'Toole. They're not going to count it. I think it's the greatest shooting exhibition I've ever seen.
That's an Larry Bird. That's
what more can you say? Larry Bird.
Okay, so you guys got Antoine Carr and Cliff Livingston got fined by Fratello, I think.
And Eddie Johnson for celebrating.
Celebrating Bird.
Yeah, it was the best film session. Every time when I see Mike, we still laugh.
God,
it was the greatest film session ever, because back then you didn't have, you watched the real game and just went, with a video, and Mike rewound the celebration 20 times. He just kept, not the shot, he just kept rewinding it, showing the guys, you remember they're giving each other high five.
And then somebody falls off the bench.
Yeah,
too.
That was Eddie Johnson.
For the next story, I want Kevin McHale to tell it because he was actually there, and I think it's one of his favorite stories of Larry Bird and the legendary Told You So story.
Well, probably my favorite.
When he passed Kevin McHale on the as the highest scorer, because Kevin McHale had just broke the record for most points in one game as a Boston Celtic. And Larry Bird passed it.
Larry Bird and the legendary Told You So story.
Well, probably my favorite one was we were playing in Phoenix, and we were way up. We were like 15, and we have the worst fourth quarter in the history. We're terrible, and Larry's bad. Larry's missing shots, throwing it to the other team,
throwing in the
row, and they come back, and somehow they go up 2. So we have a play, out of bounds play. I'm taking it out, and Larry says, I'm going to bust off the play, and I'm just going to come out, and I'm going to shoot a 3. And I'm like, we're down 2. I'm like, no, don't do that. I'm like, let's shoot a 2, please. Go to the hole, try to get fouled. Let's just get into overtime, see if we can't win this game. And Larry says, no, I'm just going to bust a 3 on him. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. So he tells the Phoenix bench, he tells the coaches, yeah, I'm just fixing to bust a 3 on you guys and just go home. I'm tired of this. And he gets the ball, jumps out, busts the play, comes out, gets the ball at the slot, shoots the ball. As the ball's in the air, he kind of turns towards the Phoenix bench and yells, told you so, and stops running to the locker room. And it went in, and I just started laughing. I was like, oh, man.
Now for the last story, I'm pretty sure everybody knows it, but I just had to put it on my list, and we have to put it into the right perspective. Just imagine in today's NBA, a player would announce that he would play the entire next game with his off-hand and still would put up a performance for the ages. I think that's impossible, and one of the craziest stories that ever happened in the NBA, the Larry Bird left-handed game.
Yeah, that's insane.
Larry told all of us and the media, he said, tomorrow night's the last game of the trip. I'm going to play this one left-handed.
So when you look at Bird against Kersey. Oh, what a basketball player that to do. Most of the scoring, they got a miss. Oh, look at that. Bird misses the first chance, and then Paxson rebounding. Well, Bird's still down there. There's nothing you can do about that.
Alright, you guys, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Also like the video because apparently that it would help my channel to grow. Also, if you want to hear podcasts with me and former NBA legends, check out the Basketball Time Machine on Spotify and on iTunes. And for old school black music, so 80s, 70s, 90s, and early 2000s, please check out my radio station, the Jam Time Machine Radio. It's on www.jamtimemachine.com. All right, enough said. You all be safe. See you next time.
This show is brought to
I rock with this channel. That's all we got for this one. You guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. I got social media and Patreon all up top. You want to subscribe to any of it, follow the links in the description. All you got to do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Love talking to you guys. You guys are the most incredible team on YouTube. It's your boy Neal. Out.